Welcome on back, everyone. We are here for the LCS Academy Spring 2022 split. We're into week number 7. Terrifying. I'm joined by Joshi. I'm joined by Rafa. Welcome in, guys, as we are getting ready for Immortals Progressive Academy. Yes. What do you got?
You know what's also terrifying?
What?
I don't have a body.
Oh, no. You knew
That's
you were on a green screen today.
For.
Before we came live, he's like, guys, I have something to show you today.
This is not green. It's turquoise, okay?
It's turquoise.
Yeah, so it's not green. It's turquoise, but apparently it's close enough that it matches. Like, look.
Kind of sus.
Okay,
You can kind of see, especially like around the neck. Where it's
right
like
where the shadow
quite.
is.
Yeah.
Check this out, guys. I'm gonna break the fourth wall real quick. This is no green screen. Look, it's turquoise. You see that? You see that?
You chose this, Rafa. You chose this.
Anyway, I don't want to derail the conversation.
You're fine.
Supposed to be...
Speaking of turquoise, though, it's perfect because we're going to talk about Immortals Progressive Academy and their turquoise. Woo! Academy Stream B. It's the synergy. Oh my God. This roster is looking legit, though. They have made a comeback into the season after having a huge slump themselves. This roster having Wild Turtle come in for them this week.
Yeah, that's going to be a really big part of how this team is going to have to end up playing, right? Because there's a lot of discussion about how Arrow was potentially going to move up to Immortals at some point. He's finally getting his chance to play on the LCS stage. So congratulations to Arrow on his opportunity to move up. But Wild Turtle, now coming down, is going to have to play with us and show that he is actually deserving of going right back on up.
And we've definitely seen some other rosters in the past move some of their starting LCS AD carries down into the academy. I wasn't going to say anything.
Anyways,
starting rosters into the academy, and then later on they prove and they kind of like pick up the momentum, right? They realize, hey, you know what? I'm not going to take my position for granted in starting spot in the LCS. So this might be this week where after LCS, Wild Turtle says, okay, you know what? Do I want to earn my spot back? And I'm going to show why.
Yeah, and speaking of like main PowerPoints for Immortals Progressive Academy, it also relies a lot on Pretty, and that synergy between the two carries of Wild Turtle and Pretty is going to be so important. And we have some clips of Pretty in some of those performances that we get to see, and the pentakill that did not lead to a game win.
Yeah, I think the thing that's really interesting about Pretty and is really important about a lot of our top talent in this tournament is the fact that they are very versatile, right? We get to see both the carry version of Pretty, where he's playing the cast and playing the Ahri, and we're having these big carry performances, but that's not the only way he's able to play. He's also able to kind of sit back and play the Ivern, where he's like, no, you got this one.
Yeah, he's just kind of trying to dunk on people with the basketball Ivern skin, but it shows the duality of Pretty, but also to some extent it's needing to see Pretty step up in his own right? Like having veteran players in the mid lane is such a key for both of these two teams, and seeing Pretty have those that penta that didn't lead to a win and things like that falling short is definitely not the way you want to go for Pretty. You want to see that pickup for him. But on the other side, you have Evil Genius's Academy, who, as I'm speaking about veteran mid laners, Soligo there in the mid lane showing his own stuff, but also having some of those same troubles as Pretty.
Soligo has definitely been a player for Evil Geniuses that we would expect with his amount of experience and his time both in Academy and a couple splits in the LCS prior, that Soligo would be one of the leading forces that it kind of is rallying the troops for Evil Geniuses on a, for the most part, rookie squad, right? Surdy, Tomio, and Skytech all making their first full run of Academy. Technically, Tomio did join Evil Geniuses after Prodigy's promoted him to the Academy roster last summer, but for the most part, this is Tomio, Skytech, and Surdy's green year. But for Soligo, we've seen him mostly be a facilitator for this squad because a lot of these young players want to be the carry. They want to demand resources, Surdy in particular, but Soligo hasn't necessarily shown us when the chips are down for Evil Geniuses and none of the rookies are off to a great start, that Soligo can be someone that is a game changer and steps up to the plate. We haven't really seen that much of a step up and an improvement for Soligo where he's able to salvage these situations for Evil Geniuses if they are extremely far behind in the early game.
And part of that, from what I've been hearing, is the fact that he's been trying to take on a bigger leadership role. And for anybody who is used to shot calling in fives, or goes from not shot calling to suddenly shot calling for your team, that's a lot of cognitive bandwidth that you have to use up. And we're kind of seeing that a little bit of the mechanics are falling to the wayside that we know he's typically been very strong on. So it's something where the leadership of a more veteran player can be really strong, but it's not always necessarily your leadership in game. And we're trying to build all these different things back up so that we can see Saligo back in the LCS.
Yeah, it's crazy to have watched this guy's journey and see the highs, but also see some of the lows, and now see where he is at here in the Academy season. But I do hear we're ready to go into the first champion select. So fellas, take it away.
I'm taking him, Mazel. You put it out, and then I'm literally grasping it, and now into the palm of my hand. And I've got the power of the sun.
Firmly grasping it?
Yeah, firmly
right
grasping it. As if I
Also,
were
look,
the Undying, just
the
like
ice
the
cream is a lot better now.
Oh, they don't know about the ice cream, Josh.
They don't know about the ice cream. They will probably never know about the ice cream. But
I am requesting, though, that Mermage post this to Twitter, because last time, I think one of our observers, Leche, made a beautiful skiing or snowboarding art. I was like, you got to put that up on Twitter, bro. That's fine.
True.
So
I feel like every single time we get to see mostly our observers just have some kind of art competition or something. This time, it's been Pepe's before.
Man.
It's been skiers and snowboarders. Today apparently it's ice cream. So Mermage tends to do pretty well at that, on top of being a fantastic observer.
Looking forward to not only the cinematic landscape and panoramic views of the Rift, but also some dank art on the timeline. Andy, I better see the ice cream cone on my Twitter timeline after the show is over. I'm just saying. It's really good. But we are loading into Champion Select in just a few minutes. We're just waiting on the last ready checks from the players here. Something that Mazel didn't get a chance to touch on, but we were kind of thrown news a couple days before, or more so last minute, is that Wild Turtle is coming in to the Academy squad. And this does change up some things. We know that we've heard that Arrow has been very vocal in communications for Immortals, and we expect someone like Wild Turtle, with his experience, with his long tenure in the LCS, to be able to match that in some way or form. But that it's also a challenge, as Wild Turtle is playing while still under the same organization for new players that he doesn't probably have that much experience playing with.
Yeah, and I think it's always interesting to kind of track where Wild Turtle came from, right? I think, some of our longer tenured viewers are going to remember that when Wild Turtle first burst onto the scene years and years ago, he did so as a replacement for Chaos for TSM. And in his very first game, he got a pentakill. So the fact that he is willing to step in and show that he is willing to earn a spot back then means that I think we're likely to see some explosive play, kind of a bit of a chip on his shoulder, right? I feel like we've seen something similar with Stixxay. We're not used to seeing Stixxay play as a particularly aggressive AD carry, but Wild Turtle, we've always known that he's kind of gone to the point where it's like, what are you doing, Turtle? You're just flashing over random walls at this point. But the kind of aggression and the kind of carry pants that he's likely to put on are going to mean that IMT are still going to be a team to be feared.
And being in this spot now might be what encourages Wild Turtle to go back to that fiery playstyle, the explosiveness that we saw when Wild Turtle first debuted back in LCS, which feels so long ago. And it kind of was 10 years ago, back in 2012, 2013, and I think it was the debut split of LCS. But through all the picks and bans, Zeri has made it through the bans. And we know how you know what? I can't say it because it is not friendly for this champion is when it's let loose on the Rift, Josh.
Yeah, Zeri the carry is still scary. That's why they're trying to nerf her to make her more fairy. As I don't remember who it was. I think it's August that's been saying that on Twitter. But we do see the Tristana Yuumi coming through for Immortals. Definitely something that Wild Turtles have had a lot of success on. And before we go too deep into this champion select, Mark, I do want to take a little bit of time to note where these teams are in the standings, because there are one game separating these two teams, and they both have very difficult schedules coming up for the rest of the season. They both have to play Cloud9. They both have to play Team Liquid. EGA has to play against CLG, and IMT has to play against Golden Guardian. So this is absolutely a must-win if you are trying to maintain your spot in the standings to automatically qualify for Proving Grounds. And so even with Wild Turtle coming in as a strong AD carry, he has to show what he has going right now. They can't afford to be dropping any games here.
I like this Hecarim takeaway as well. Immortals could have locked it in for Chad with the Yuumi already dialed in for Immortals Academy. We've seen in the past Hecarim and Yuumi be a devastating combo. Immortals could go for the Udyr Hecarim trade if they want to lock it in right now, but another champion that has been popping up on many mid lanes radars and has been very successful is the Ryze.
Yeah, I do like it. Pretty has been showing a lot of ability to play both the aggressive Ryze and the defensive Ryze with both the aggressive and defensive styles of builds. And as we start looking at the rest of this composition, the big thing that I'm going to be paying attention to is, do Immortals have tools to take down Zeri, right? Because so far the answer is not really, right? You don't have an opportunity to burst her out quickly enough in order to prevent her from zooming around the map, and even without the Yuumi on her shoulder, is going to be very difficult to lock this champion down. So Evil Geniuses are looking to have a very obvious go-in button. They also have a very obvious way to play after that initial spike goes through, whereas Immortals, still a little bit more to show us on what it is that they want to do.
You know, what if we went crazy and we just locked in Vaughn? Never mind. Okay.
It's still not possible. You could still play Volibear top.
You could play Volibear top, but
It is concept.
Because what you're telling me, Josh, is that you need lockdown for the Zeri, and point and click lockdown makes that job incredibly easy as well. Which, unfortunately, I don't think it would be enough of a reason to pick Vi in this meta right now. Missing that champion, but Volibear does have a point and click stun. That's pretty darn good if you can get in reach.
Ooh. Yeah, wow. Evil Genius is putting a lot of eggs in the carry basket right now, Mark. We've already talked about how this guy has a fantastic ability position during these team fights, and his ability to step up and be the leader means that a lot of trust is oftentimes put into Evil Geniuses. But he's kind of a solo damage carry right now, right? You're not going to be doing the most damage as Soligo's Galio, and as we get to see the Fiora coming out from Surdy, we're seeing a lot of challenges put to Immortals, because this is not a very standard draft coming out from Evil Geniuses.
I mean, you said solo damage carry, and then suddenly Surdy's like, yeah, about that. Let me slam this Fiora right now. It's a blind pick too. The amount of confidence that you got to have against a top laner, or maybe overconfidence. It's like, there's nothing that Concept could pick that could punish me and just picking and slamming a Fiora blind pick. Concept choice is going to be the Wukong.
Yeah, I mean, Fiora is definitely in a spot right now where you can blind pick this champion. There are not very many strong counters in the meta right now, and it really puts a lot of pressure on anybody else if you are willing to just blind pick this Fiora. So Evil Geniuses, I like what they're currently doing with their composition. They are very fast. They have a very obvious go button. They have split push pressure in the side lane coming out from Surdy, and from Immortals, the big thing that they're going to have trouble with is Chad doesn't get to touch Cowrie ever this entire game. So Chad is going to be in a really awkward spot where he's trying to find some way to be relevant during a lot of these fights, and this Volibear is going to struggle a little bit unless it has Yuumi on top of it, where you actually have the speed to catch up to some of these really, really quick boys on Evil Geniuses.
And it just still might not be enough, because you have movement speed, right? But the question is, how do you close the distance between yourself and Zeri in the late game when she is just burst firing you from practically a screen away, and she's zooming as well? You're going to need Chem Tank, Flash, and your ultimate as well, just to be able to close the distance and get on top of Cowrie and lock him down for the rest of your members to follow up. I imagine that Immortals Academy, the way they're going to have to play this one out is be very pivotal on flanks. Once again, Concept is playing a champion that has powerful team fighting capabilities thanks to the Cyclone. Teleport, once it's unleashed, you got to set up those fights, and you have the vision control so that you can get into the backline and disrupt chaos for Evil Geniuses, because I imagine this game, I know we talked a lot about Soligo and Pretty going into this one, Josh, but they're playing facilitator champions for the most part. I mean, Galio, he's roaming around with the Predator. He's trying to snowball Surdy or Cowrie in their own right and follow up on Tomio engages. Pretty might be a damage dealer, but might be the defensive type as well. So I imagine, Josh, we're really looking at these two marksman carries right now.
Oh yeah, it definitely looks like a Kauri versus Wild Turtle kind of game, right? Eventually, Wild Turtle does have the range to outrange Kauri pretty heavily, but the other thing is it is a potentially explosive bottom lane right out of the gates coming in from Wild Turtle and Joey, because you pick Tristana not necessarily because she eventually outranges Zeri, because at that point it might be a little bit too late, but rather because you want to try and kill her really early on, and because we do have Yuumi who has extra combat summoners, in exchange for not having a flash, means that they can be very aggressive. And Kauri needs to play this early game very, very well. So watch how Kauri and SkyTech end up trying to skirt around the outer edges of what Wild Turtle and Joey are going to do, because it is going to mean the difference between whether or not Kauri is strong enough to carry the game.
Big fan of Kauri taking Exhaust this game for the loadout here, because not only can help combat some of that early aggression that Wild Turtle and Joey would be looking for in one of those all-ins, cutting down on the damage, but then also, it is such a useful tool when you get later and later into the game, and you have things like a Wukong trying to jump on you, a Volibear trying to jump on you, a Ryze trying to jump on you, even if...
It's a whole zoo.
Yeah, the whole zoo. Because even Wild Turtle, we would not put it past him to just be the one that looks to assassinate Kauri if he has the angle.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely what we're saying, right? He's a very aggressive AD carry. He's got a Yuumi on top of him, so everything is really in his own hands when this game comes through, and that's where Wild Turtle tends to like to be. So the rest of Immortals going to be trying to get some setup, trying to get some lockdown onto Kauri, but as always, we're going to pay a lot of attention to how both these AD carries are positioning, what aggressive plays they can go for, because both of these players can be Chads. So it can Surdy, though.
Surdy, he's trying to look for the last Vital proc there, but Concept being able to hug just on the outer lip of Surdy's range there gets quite a few autos blowing back at Surdy. And so now this is going to force both the top laners to be in somewhat of a vital spot. Chad, however, is pathing away from the top lane, looking towards bot lane. I wonder if Immortals want to set up for a early crash and push and look to dive.
Ooh, some good damage onto Joey as well, right? I think it is, not the most difficult thing in the world for Immortals to try and set up a 3-wave dive, but Pretty is also pushing Soligo around really heavily.
A lot of damage from Pretty right now. Ooh, that was close.
He's staying, too. He's got 2 potions running, but Soligo taking so much damage in that last spot. Now, one of the things that we have to pay attention to is Hecarim is a champion that can be a really heavy defensive farmer, but he can also be an incredible ganker, and Tumilio already coming around from behind.
Soligo would have to burn Flash in order to guarantee a kill setup. Otherwise, I think if you see Hecarim coming around the corner, that's an immediate flash. And Tomio recognizes how hard the gank is. And if Chad starts snooping around as well, the counter gank, but he's looking towards the top lane. He knows that this monkey is low. He's looking for the kill. Concept, will he be able to burn Flash in time? He's not going to even try to. He knows he's done. First blood to Surdy.
Crazy stuff coming through. Looking a lot like Rose Thorn with the way that he's able to path around and kind of ignore a lot of the early vision. Chad going down to the bottom side, though, is behind the members of Evil Geniuses, and they're just going to be trying to leave.
And Chad spots him out, but won't aggress solo. Would need the help of Wild Turtle and Joey, but this just allows enough pressure to zone off SkyTech and Kauri from some of these minions. Losing out on some XP and gold thanks to the pressure of Chad hovering around.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really impressed from the side of Evil Geniuses, right? Because I don't know where Kauri actually lost both the summoner spells, but the fact that they were also ready for the 3-wave dive coming in from Chad and Wild Turtle means that they were able to back up and only lose a couple of CS, which is not that bad, right? Your whole goal with Zeri is not to win the early game, it's to win later on. And Kauri playing very intelligently thus far. He hasn't necessarily given too many opportunities for Wild Turtle and Joey to jump in, as we do see that there was actually a lot of trading. I didn't even see this, but almost all of the summoner spells are gone in the bottom lane.
I think it happened just around the same time Tomio was ganking for Surdy in the top lane.
Must have.
Now, Concept now in a spot where he still has Flash, but had just burned Teleport, exchange with Surdy's as well, but is down some item components. So Surdy, especially with the wave positioned right now, right outside of his tower, is a very, very comfortable spot in case Tomio loops back top lane once again. But Tomio, with the way he's pathing towards the bottom side of the map, after these Krugs, might be looking bot lane.
And Tomio, once he starts rolling on this horse, it's very difficult to get him to stop. And we know how strong Tomio can be with a lot of his pressure, but not necessarily going to be in the easiest spot to go in for a gank right away because Skytech has lost so much of his HP. And once again, you have to note, Chad and Tomio on opposite sides of the map are going to be looking for opportunities to play two different members. Chad was looking for a 3-wave dive earlier. Now he just wants to make sure that Concept doesn't get solo killed.
Just making sure that the bear will protect the monkey here in the top side of the map. Gotta stick together if you are animals, you know. About
True.
Animal Kingdom right now. Chad just waiting in the wings, making sure that Tomio isn't here for a gank. But if Surdy ever pressures far enough in this lane, might be able to burn a flash.
True. I mean, note how many camps are still up for Chad right now. His Concept uses the decoy, but that means there's nothing left for them to actually really go in for. And Tomio is like, oh, hey, look at this. Some wolves. I've been craving some of that. Should be able to find that and potentially even find a dragon as well if they're feeling particularly bold. But Soligo not playing towards the bottom side of the map. Instead, wants to make sure that no dive happens as he shifts up. Oh.
And Tomio was trying
They're
to get the
lovers.
ward just to see where Wild Turtle and Joey were. Wouldn't you know, they're just right there. I'm like, hold up. Who warded that?
Hello.
Who did that?
Yep.
It's a horse.
Crazy. I mean, it is a whole zoo, right? I just love the fact that the wards are right on top of each other because it's like Romeo and Juliet. Like, what are both these wards doing here? Who knows? They're in love, though. Don't worry about it too much. So,
You know,
wasn't that funny?
No, it's just the ward itself was a little strange, and maybe I think it was a panic ward from either Joey or Wild Turtle because they see the ward come down, like put a ward down.
What is this?
Yeah, what? It's back, but it's okay. The game is
Okay.
somewhat of a slow start, and if we look back to how both of these compositions scale up, this does play into the favor of Evil Geniuses. As you noted before, Kaori on the Zeri, once he gets the Trinity Force and ramps up some items. Oh, Surdy, have you stayed
There's
a
no
little too
mana.
long? The riposte a little too early. Concept gets the outplay, burns the flash as well without even using his own. That's the solo bolo.
Yeah, this is a very typical thing from both of these top laners, right? They are just kind of going to be going at it all the time, and eventually one of them is going to make a mistake. And this time it was Surdy that made the first solo mistake without the interference of the jungle, and that will mean that a kill going over to Concept means that he will be able to push around Fiora for a little while longer. At the same time, though, watch how far back Harry and Skytech are pushed. We were saying this could be happening with the way that Wild Turtle and Joey have been playing, and now that they walk up, it's a little bit dangerous. They don't quite know if Chad's going to hit level 6 off of this, and we know, I think he actually does if he gets all these Krugs.
Let's see it. Oh, there it is. You know what's about to happen. Tomio is on the bottom side of the map, but he's clearing wolves, or raptors, I should say. But it's enough for Chad to be, you know what? Instead of risking our lives on this dive, let's just take this dragon. We have priority in both mid lane and bot lane. It's free.
Free? I mean, Zeri still doesn't do anything just quite yet, so yeah, just go for the free objective. They will be picking up the first dragon of the game a little bit later than what we oftentimes see, but 8 minutes does mean that Immortals going to be putting the clock on right now for the members of Evil Geniuses, and with the Hextech Dragon and the Infernal Dragon potentially coming through, just a lot of potential combat stats on the table for Immortals if they do snowball this game. But they're not even really ahead, Mark, right? Despite the fact that they are getting this lead in the bottom lane where they're constantly pushing Kaori and Skytech off the wave, and Pretty is beating up Soligo pretty effectively in the mid lane. They're trading it off for a very similar style of leads in the top lane and the jungle, where Surdy and Tomio are just winning. So I wasn't really expecting to see this total mismatch on the map overall, Mark, but that's what we're seeing right now between these two teams.
It's a lot of... Oh, what's the word here? I think it's restraint and just good patience from Kaori and Skytech to not put themselves in such aggressive a position. I mean, this is what we've known Wild Turtle to be in the past for. That is the aggressive playmaking potential you've got when Wild Turtle is on Tristana.
That's the difference coming through right now, right? Skytech only level 5 means that there's no real way for him to resist that, and Wild Turtle needs to be stepping up like this in order to win this.
Oh, that was almost such a good setup.
So
Still
fast.
has enough movement speed, but Chad is here for the counter gank. They're going to look for the CC chain and one more damage auto attack from Tomio, and the Rampage stacks on up. Chad is here, but he cannot turn it back around because there's suddenly 4 people from Evil Geniuses in the mid lane.
Look, Evil Geniuses, they might give over a kill on the bottom side of the map, but they are returning with 2 right away in the mid lane. Evil Geniuses moving around a little bit better and Pretty. I mean, we said that he's going to be one of the focal points for this team, and he's got a lot of CS leads, but he's not getting any more than that. Now Kaori looking to be aggressive.
Kaori does have his ultimate here. SkyTech not quite in range to be able to slow down Wild Turtle. They want to get this punished out. I can't really push beyond a turret here, but Evil Geniuses. Concept is here. Cyclone is available. Realm Orb is coming in from Pretty. Concept gets one more Cyclone out. Flashes right on top to secure the kill on Atomio. Rift Herald was still picked up, but Evil Geniuses will lose 2 to Immortals.
Very surprising play coming in from Evil Geniuses, right? I was not expecting Surdy to just go kind of sacrifice himself because they had already gotten everything they had asked for. So Immortals turning it right around. We were just praising Evil Geniuses for their play in the mid lane, but Immortals counter-rotating. They know they have enough time, and hello,
whoa,
everyone.
We're on the
we
screen.
are back on the screen as... I mean, the big thing that I'm surprised here is I love the fact that Immortals go through, but I think Surdy could have kited down, right? I think he could have left. But he ended up going in for a more aggressive play, trying to find the counter kill onto Concept, and a little bit too greedy, unfortunately.
You know, Josh, he could have kited down. But would that be on brand for Surdy?
Is living on brand for Surdy?
It's not about living, Josh. It's about sending a message.
Well,
and right now, the message is
about
Tomio wants to get this Wild Turtle right now. Rocket Buster shot already comes out. Wild Turtle flashing the engage from Evil Geniuses, gets out alive.
Good stuff coming out from Wild Turtle, dodging out from all the crowd control. Tomio didn't quite have his ultimate when they actually went for that gank, but this game back and forth overall, we are seeing a small lead coming through for Immortals, and Surdy once again playing with fire, just really trying to test Concept, and Concept is so far getting A's on every test.
And that's the on brand for Surdy, man. It's all about volatility. If Surdy could play safe, or if he could look for a solo kill opportunity where the top laner wouldn't expect it because they'd be thinking Surdy was crazy, that's what Surdy's going to do, man. He's always pushing his limits. Does that always result in a positive benefit? No. But that's why I think Surdy's such an entertaining player to watch.
Yeah. No, that's what you get when Jet Joy is on the table, right? He just goes for things.
Respect the name. Jet Joy, baby.
Respect the name. Honestly, really cool name.
You know, if Surdy ever wants to rename, he should just call himself EG Jet, dude.
That's what I was saying, man. Right? There's some where you think that they're their names, right? Like Chad is actually named Maximilian, but like Maximilian is also kind of a sick name.
Yeah.
And then you have Pretty on the other side whose name is Prodromos, which is also super sick. And there's like, you know, I'm gonna just call myself Pretty. That's how I'm feeling today.
Hell
That's
yeah.
how I feel every day. So, you know, respect at the end of the day, but Immortals are the one who are currently leading, and we said that this was a must-win for both sides of the map, and so Immortals very happy to continue building up the one-game advantage that they have over Evil Geniuses, because remember, as we get towards the end, and
another
Surdy.
solo kill potential, but this time Surdy has friends. He's brought the whole gang here to the top lane, and Concept saying, bro, no 1v1? Question mark?
No 1v1? That's true. You got to be very sad about that if you are Concept, because it was looking like another solo kill, but Evil Genius is getting pushed off the mid lane now. They got pushed off the bottom lane, and Wild Turtles is free hitting.
Immortals are getting a bunch of turret destruction down on the map. They're inflicting damage to the tier 2 turret. They're getting more plates through the mid lane turret, and they've taken complete control of this bottom quadrant of the jungle. Look how many resources they're able to funnel into Wild Turtles Tristana. And we looked back at the draft. We looked back at these 280 carries, the marksman that we kind of really hyped up to be the game changers for this game. It's already shaping up to be that way for Immortals, where Wild Turtle is leading the charge in damage and how the map is warping in Immortals' favor.
And as long as he can buy some time for himself on the side lane, Wild Turtle is going to get stronger and stronger as this game goes on, right? Typically, you look at Tristana and say that they are going to be walking into a slump right about now, but when you're 1,500 gold ahead, and remember, no kills on this Tristana. That is all turret gold that they have picked up as the difference. And the CS, where you're suddenly able to be an entire BF start up, you might be able to skip a lot of that slump. And Wild Turtle, once he starts outranging Kaori Zeri, it becomes very, very difficult for Kaori to play later on in the game. So this does look like Immortals continuing to build up that lead, right? We said they were up one game. They want to make sure that they can get ahead of the block.
And Wild Turtle on something like a Tristana, you get so much agency and playmaking potential already. So when you have a player who wants to go in and fight and wants to go in and scrap, you have the tools necessary to do it. However, SkyTech lingering around the bush here. Well, no longer the pressure is felt as Soligo has, or Kaori should be picking up this wave. He really wants these chicken nuggets, man, and he wants to kill Wild Turtle, but when you've got a cat on top of your head, It makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, when you got a cat as a hat, it makes it much more difficult to actually go for the fight. So respect to Surdy for playing back, but Tomio has got to run now. He's okay. Just kidding. You can do it at a trot. You can do it at a gallop. You can do it real slow.
See, that's the bane of color casters right there. You see like aggression about to break out, and they're like running at each other menacingly, and you're like, okay,
I know.
Do I need to set up my play-by-play? Man.
Dude, I also feel bad because that song I was, referencing is something that literally only people from Washington would ever understand. Right?
You were referencing a song?
Yeah, you could do it at a trot. You can do it at a gallop. You can do it real slow so your heart don't palpitate. Just don't be late. Do the
That's a real song.
Because that's our state fair. Yeah, that's the every single year at the beginning of like spring they will always have this huge drive. They give all the kids free tickets. So they drag their parents over and spend a lot of money on all the carnival games. But that's the state fair, and that's what I think of when I see Hecarim.
Wow, some Washington lore here in our League of Legends game for Academy Week 7.
True.
16 minutes into the game, though. Immortals still having a majority of control of the map. The Rift Herald is available to take for the second rotation. Dragon is coming up in 2.5 minutes. Immortals already getting the first 2 dragons of the game. And Ocean Soul would be pretty damn helpful for this composition of Immortals as they look to match the scaling power of Evil Geniuses the later the game goes on. But Skytech finds a pick onto Wild Turtle. They layer down the crowd control. There's Soligo right on top, and it's Surdy that picks up the shutdown. What a massive wombo combo from Evil Geniuses. And the train don't stop. It's going to keep coming. Cowrie is on the run. He's on the hunt. He's looking for more kills. But the rest of the Immortals members will be able to get out alive. Cowrie still wants to go for it. He will pick it up. Shut down.
He's not done.
And he's looking to just style on Immortals.
Oh man, Evil Geniuses, the crowd control chain was insane. Wild Turtle has cleansed and he couldn't do anything. Doesn't even have a chance to flash throughout that entire thing. Evil Geniuses, this looks practiced, this looks good. The charm goes in, then immediately followed by a fear and a knock-up. And the fact that there is no opportunity for Wild Turtle flash during this entire thing is absolutely insane. The dog pile that they're able to go through means that nobody is able to turn on to Cowrie. He is full health this entire time, and of course this champion is insanely fast. Just his ability to run around and chase down multiple people after the fight is over means that any fight that is only marginally losing against most AD carries is a total rout against Zeri.
Bro, that was wild. Oh my god.
That was wild. I loved it. That's one of the most coordinated things we've seen this entire season from any team.
And coming from Evil Geniuses in a match where, as you mentioned at the top of the table, this is a do-or-die match in terms of being able to advance to the top 6 of the standings, because if you don't win this match, the rest of your strength of schedule is so difficult to play up against. You already mentioned teams like Cloud9 and Team Liquid in the wings, ready to take on Immortals and Evil Geniuses after today. So Evil Geniuses showing some life and being able to fight back. They're still down in gold, but it's nowhere near as large of a deficit that Immortals had at the beginning.
Yeah, and remember, we were talking about whether or not Wild Turtle would be able to weather the Trop, but Evil Geniuses don't want to give him an opportunity to do so. They have their ultimates mostly back up. They just are missing Soligos, and that might be enough still in order to try and take down Wild Turtle. But they have position on the Dragon right now, and as Sun Tzu says, if you have river control, you are forcing the enemy team to walk into it Hecarim, and that's never a good time.
Sun Tzu knew about Hecarim?
Yeah, I know. He was very ahead of his time.
Damn, that's crazy, bro. Well, Concept is looking for a flank around. Surdy and Soligo gatekeeping him through this corridor, making sure that Concept cannot get over the wall. And he doesn't have flash, so this would be really hard. Meanwhile, the Dragon is being bursted down by Evil Geniuses. Chad tries to walk up, but it is Tomio that secures it. Last chapter comes out, gets 1 rune on the Tomio, but everyone else from Evil Geniuses is just doing fine. Immortals trying to pincer them in. They can't get out of this pit. They're going to go for it. Cyclone comes out. Tomio's like, all right, see you guys. I got to get out of this one. So Ligo might be the one that pays the price, but the rest of Evil Geniuses survive.
Look, it is really lucky for Evil Geniuses that was not a lot worse, but Immortals are trying to make it worse.
Oh, round more. Oh, no! Cowrie! No flash, as he used it aggressively in their last skirmish when he was just chasing every single member into their base. Chad still keeping up the chase, making sure that Evil Geniuses do not get to recall comfortably. They have some time now to establish some control on the top side of the map.
There we go, Immortals. I love the fact that they are willing to push the issue when they feel they are ahead. And this means that another turret should be going down here in the bottom lane, continuing to fill the coffers of Immortals. So, as again, we take stock of who some of our main characters were, right? We were looking at how Wild Turtle was going to be performing, but he's been quiet in this mid game. He hasn't had the same kind of interaction, but Pretty starting to step up, using the Realm Warp aggressively, in some cases defensively, in others. He's constantly ready to play both the offensive style that we were praising him for with Caston and the defensive style with the Ivern. So it's really impressive to see how strong this guy really is. But now we have to turn our attention towards the top side of the map, Mark, and see if Pretty can continue that dominance.
Taking a quick gold check here, 36,000 or 37,000, 34,000. So off that play, Immortals able to maintain that 3K gold lead. Wild Turtle is still quite a bit ahead of Cowrie, maintaining that advantage in its own right. But the big advantage is Pretty against Soligo, as you already highlighted at the top. Doing so damn well in this Rise. It's been kind of a sleeper on this game. We haven't really been singing a lot of praise about him so far, but he is definitely putting in the work, and because he's going that heavy damage build Rise, not necessarily the defensive one with Fimbulwinter and Frozen Heart, he can be just of a huge threat as Wild Turtle.
Yeah, tell me, I don't know if you want this.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Surdy's probably also gone.
Well,
Goodbye. Goodbye.
That's unlucky.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
What
is this? The consequences of my own actions?
Yeah. Tommy was like, "Hey, I'm coming." Bro, I can't get there. No, I'm fine.
Luck.
Oh, I'm not fine.
Oh, I'm not fine. Definitely a tough spot, right? You know, it is the double-edged nature of being Surdy. Sometimes you are very right, and sometimes that happens. So, Immortals now, with the fact that they have extra members on the map and a lot more gold than Evil Geniuses, are going to be continuing to push things up, but not able to create enough space to take down the mid lane turret. Instead, they can now start to clear out a lot of vision in the top side of the map, right? If Evil Geniuses aren't in places first, it can be very difficult for them to actually go for a lot of these fights, because it is so difficult to walk into Yuumi and Wukong at the same time, because the amount of crowd control just means that Ryze and Tristana will free hit. So good stuff coming out from Immortals to clear out a lot of his vision, but there's still a lot of wards they haven't realized are there.
Yeah, you don't want to get bonked by Yukong. That is the Woomy Wukong. Oh, they're going to try to do the same thing again. They'll AoE wombo combo, but they don't get the layering just quite right this time around. Surdy is in the 1v1 against Wild Turtle, but he distanced himself with a rocket jump. And now Surdy doesn't have the range to gap close onto him, but Wild Turtle, meanwhile, cannot participate in the rest of the fight that's going on. And Tomio still has Onslaught of Shadows, but Wild Turtle still had Flash. So he answers response for response. Wild Turtle still alive. And now the flank from Concept will turn things around for Immortals Academy. Chad goes in. The rest of Immortals will fall, but Soligo trying to turn things around here. Pretty getting stasis up, holding as much damage as he can. Evil Genius is trying to pelt through this front line. Concept still being a nuisance in the back line. Cowrie burst firing through everyone as much as he can, but Immortals will be the one that remained victorious in numbers.
Yeah, Cowrie's going to lose all of his stacks on his ultimate as well. Not going to be able to go back in, but that's what we saw, right? It had to be the perfect crowd control chain the first time around, and they were able to pull it off the previous time, but not this time. Immortals able to create enough distance, and their members are just too tanky right now, right? This was something I was a little worried about, and you said that Fiora is a damage threat. I'm still not super convinced on that front, just because how does she hit? All these members are going to be ranged or able to just swing right on back up against Surdy. So we get to see, right, Wild Turtle getting on out, and then watch the Yuumi heal come in just a moment. It's like, oh, damage? I don't know what you're talking about. There's not a whole lot that is really going through from Wild Turtle, and as long as he has his flash up, just really easy to get his way out from Tomio. And once you're there, once you've blown all of your cooldowns, it doesn't matter if you're a 5-on-5. It feels like most of your characters are kind of half characters at this point because they don't have buttons.
Yeah, Soligo trying to do his damnedest to set up for a little turnaround, but Immortals, the way that they are spacing and kiting back and forth and dodging out on a lot of these, small moments for Evil Geniuses to look for a turnaround. And it's just really well played from the side of Immortals Academy. Now they have completely skyrocketed their lead. Once was 3,000 gold, now is almost 8,000 at 25 minutes.
And I also want to praise, again, the people on Immortals who are making this possible. The fact that Wild Turtle, normally I think of him as a brilliant aggressive player, but today he's showing that he is incredibly resilient as well. Not the easiest thing in the world to take down. And okay, and now we're seeing a little bit of the Wild Turtle just be like, why is Tristana here?
Yeah, he's picking his moments, right? And he's kind of, I mean, he's living up to the name Wild Turtle. You never know what you're going to get. In some moments, Wild Turtle playing with, as you already said, a lot of restraint, knowing his limits, and knowing when he has to burn certain cooldowns. But then in the moments, he's just going to sit in the bush and be like, I wonder if someone squishy will walk up here and see what I can get away. Oh, look at that. A Rakan? Well,
tasty.
Say goodbye to your HP bar.
Yeah. So now we're seeing, I mean, just the range
Not
that this
again.
character has at level 30. He's the same level as the top lane for Evil Geniuses, right? He is so far ahead at this point relative to where he ought to be in Immortals. Now pushing in with the Baron buff, going to be trying to break open these turrets. And it is trivial when you have a Tristana on your team to just break structures.
This inhibitor easily taken by Immortals Academy. Concept already pushing through the mid lane, prepping for another destruction of a tower. Evil Genius is doing the best they can to hold on. This Baron buff is making it very difficult to do so, as these minions are already pelting away at the Nexus towers, splitting up their numbers, which will now make the destruction of this turret fall easily. Pretty with the flash setup. Concept falling up. Tomio does get a chance to get out alive, but now Soligo has given his life for the greater cause to make sure that his jungler made it out alive, but Wild Turtle ripped through him easily, and the Realm Warp will take everyone and some minions as well to destroy this tower.
Good stuff coming through from Immortals. Again, just crazy aggressive play coming through, and now it's Pretty who's able to get the fight actually started. Kaori and Skytech trying to find something, but they are missing their ultimates. The only ultimate they really have is Skytech's, and that's not enough to actually try and take down Wild Turtle.
Skytech is going to be looking for this flank here. He is on the backside, but Evil Geniuses, I mean, either you got to force the fight or you're going to lose the rest of your base, and now all three inhibitors have been taken down, and what could have been a flank opportunity no longer seems viable.
Great stuff coming through from Immortals, right? They don't need to push the issue right now. With 3 inhibitors already down, you just come back, right? You just go spend all your gold. Everybody should have an item completed at this point. Once you get back on the map, it is incredibly difficult for the members of Evil Genius to do anything. And Immortals
are so
going to be moving to 2 games ahead here after this game is over, unless Evil Genius can pull out a miracle.
It's going to be pretty damn tough, Josh. I'm not going to lie. It is tough. 10,000 gold lead. This is usually the point of no return. We've seen other things, though. And
it's Academy.
Yeah, you know, it is Academy. And if over in the LEC a team can throw a 13,000 gold lead, then definitely it can happen in Academy as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just a fight where all the buttons are used and Kaori is still alive is a potential win condition for Evil Geniuses. But you're already seeing that Evil Geniuses also popping out with elixirs. Surdy does have the red elixir running. Looks like he might be the only one, but I expect that's probably because he's the only one who has the gold to do it. So now, trying to play really aggressive Jet, going in on Jet.
Oh, Tomio and Skytech, the Bamboozle brothers looking for the backline. Wild Turtle, does he get bursted out? He's blinking HP bars, but look at the healing from Joey. Keeps him topped up, somewhat comfortable at medium HP, and he's going in right into the middle of 3 people, but he's still surviving as much as he can. He still lives! Look at Wild Turtle just popping off. He's got the confidence of Joey on his back to keep him alive, and he just takes down Evil Geniuses right in their face, point blank range. They're gonna realm warp into the fountain as well. Look for the kill on Tomio. It's killing the minions. Chad falls, but they have sent the message. Immortals Academy take game 1.
Oh my god, the Turtle back in his prime, man. Just going over. I thought for sure he was going to die, and there's going to be a whole thing where Kaori pops off in the last fight, but absolutely no fear. And he's right, I'm wrong. He's able to stay alive. There's no real threat coming through, so great stuff coming out from Immortals. And again, they are part of the blob, and I'm going to maintain that. It's not the clump, it's the blob. That is going to be all those teams just right there within a couple of games of each other. And Immortals, they want to stay on the top of it. They remain that way after picking up this game.
Yeah, this is the blob, right? It's just,
the blob.
They all just kind of pass through each other, and you know what? One team might be like up here, and then the next day it just falls back to the bottom.
You know, sometimes it's a little stretchy and a bit squishy on both sides, and you get to see teams moving all around at the same time. And Immortals, They're at the top of the blob at the beginning of the day, and right beneath them was Evil Geniuses. 1 game separating them. Now it's 2, and Evil Geniuses, we already looked at it. They have a very tough schedule coming up for the rest of the season, but it's 1 game at a time, and the next game they need to do is take down Immortals next time.
Well, we're going to see if Immortals Academy can maintain this streak and momentum and clean out Evil Geniuses in a 2-0 sweep, or if Evil Geniuses will fight back. When we come back, though, it's going to be Mazel with our halftime show. So make sure you come back, folks, and we'll be back.